Okay, welcome everybody to this webinar session with myself, Alex. I'm from Trent Global College, and the good-looking gentleman over there is Lee from Code Institute. So we're just gonna walk you through a little bit more about the global tech skills shortage, and also like how you can take advantage of it. So we have Lee joining us all the way from Dublin. Maybe Lee, you want to say hi?
Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm very pleased to speak with you all this evening. Thank you, Alex, for having me on. Looking forward to sharing more information about this course with all of you, and want to thank you for your interest so far. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I'm very pleased to speak with you all this
So
evening.
we're going.
Thank you, Alex, for having me
So
on.
for most of you, this topic about software development, you guys get a sense of it. I see from the poll, about 80% of you have done a little bit of coding, and that's really, really good. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight, and also really helping you understand how you can take advantage of the global skills tech shortage in the world today. So maybe Lee, if you could, just take us through what we'll be covering today.
Absolutely, yeah. Just on that note, for those of you who don't have any previous experience with software development, do not let that daunt you or frighten you in any way whatsoever. One of the really great things about the course that we have built is it is being completely designed to bring you from absolute beginner up to working knowledge in the time that you study the course. So over the course of the next 40 minutes or so, Alex and I will take you through this presentation. Firstly, I will give you some background on Trent Global College, on Code Institute. Then we will talk about the bigger picture, why coding is such an in-demand skill, why particularly it is an attractive area for people to be employed within. We will then look at a few examples of students that have completed this program before, their backgrounds and where they have gone on to work. Then we will have a deeper look at the course itself, the types of projects that you will be involved with, as well as the award that you will earn on graduation. And then for me, these sessions are all about you guys that show up to spend time with us. You have questions about the course. We want to make sure that you have those questions answered. So by all means, fire questions into the live chat. We have someone that will be answering them on the go, but at the end, Alex and I, we will work through those questions and make sure that whatever you came here to find out, that you walk away knowing it at the end of this session. We have someone that will be answering them on the go, but at the end, Alex and I, we will work through those questions and make sure that whatever you came here to find out, that you walk away knowing it at the end of this session.
Yep. So just as Lee said, if you have any questions, you can just type it on the chat box over there. We'll answer it during the Q&A session. So moving on, who is Trent Global? So Trent Global, we are a private college that we are mainly doing build technology. So we offer degrees and masters to tech building technology. But now we're moving on to tech boot camps. That's why Code Institute is with us, and that's why we're able to offer that diploma in software development as well. So maybe Lee, do you want to just introduce Code Institute to us?
Absolutely. Thank you. So as you say, we began life as a coding bootcamp. So we're not a very old education company. Were created in 2015, and our goal was to address the global skills crisis. And it's something I will talk about in a little more detail shortly. But in essence, the world of work has changed in the last 10 years. And jobs now exist that don't exist in sectors before. You look at things like cybersecurity, digital marketing. These jobs didn't exist 15 years ago. One of the reasons is the internet has changed everything, but every single industry has also been affected by digital change. And with that, there's a need for people with digital skills. And number one in that list is software developers. So our mission at Code Institute is to teach people to become software developers in the most efficient manner possible. So we've experienced massive growth over the course of the last 4 years. At the moment, we have over 1,500 students enrolled, and they are all around the world. We're a global education company, and we work with, like, we see ourselves as the educator, and we work with really top-level educational partners around the world, like Trent College in Singapore. When we thought about the problem that we were trying to solve, so how do we teach people to become software developers in the most effective way possible? We did it by going to the industry. So you see that second tile, it says Industry Advisory Council. We appointed a body of organizations, the likes of PayPal, the likes of Accenture, the likes of MasterCard, the likes of GlaxoSmithKline within the pharmaceutical industry. We wanted to get a picture as to what employers really want in a software developer. So a simple question was asked: if you were hiring a developer, what are the skills they need to know? We then build our curriculum around their requirements. So the course has been designed with the job in mind. That means that as a student, you're learning skills that are current and relevant and in demand by the industry leaders today. So that's our IAC. We have this career focus all the way through our course. We're aware that you can complete our course and you can have all of the most relevant skills in the world that employers want. But when you're actually out there in the big bad world looking for a job, quite often your first port of call for your application, it won't be the organization itself. You may have to go through a recruitment agency of some description. They will have no idea how to assess your ability to code or your software development skills. They will require some form of certification. And if you're doing further research after tonight's session, one of the areas where our course is completely unique within the world of bootcamp learning and skills-based learning is that our course has academic validation. We're partnered with the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. They have credit rated our course. It is a level 5 diploma in Europe, and that translation carries around the world, whether it be in Singapore, whether it be in North America, whether it be in Europe. So it's an internationally recognized qualification. Materials that you can trust and a certification that will help you find a job on graduation. And the last thing that I would say about the course, and students love this, they love the fact that our course is very practical. There's no exam at the end of it. You're ultimately assessed on the basis of a portfolio of projects that show off your skills and your personality. So students really like that. But one of the real strengths of having a portfolio that you have built is that in an interview situation, you may be asked questions by your prospective employer as to how you overcame such and such a problem with Python, or about different tools that you have built. In an interview, your portfolio is your story. It is the story of you. It reflects you, and it will help you answer those questions, and it will be your experience in an interview situation. So to sum all of that up, we designed a course with the job in mind through our advisory council. We provide a certification that is unique that will help you find and get to the interview. And then within the interview, you will have a portfolio that reflects your skills and your personality. And all of that it all hinges around that career focus in the middle, because we want you to be able to get that job and to transform your career at the end of the program.
Well, thanks, Lee, for that really good introduction to the Code Institute.
No, I'm just going to close the window.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks, Lee, for that. So yeah, I'm just gonna go talk about the global skills shortage. So this is what it's going to look like in 2020. There's going to be about 4 billion connected people, and there's going to be about 25 billion systems and apps all around the world. So you can kind of see, in 2020, it's going to be a super connected world, and that means, the workforce should be ready to really capitalize on this. So you can kind of see these systems that are out there. So over in Europe side, you can see that this is the number of the gray portion is the portion that shows the unfilled computing jobs that are in Europe by 2020. But the orange portion just shows how many computer science graduates there are that's going to be produced. So you can see there's a huge lack out there. Um, and this is where maybe Lee, you could just tell us a bit about the job situation within Europe.
Absolutely, Alex. So on the last slide, you pointed the scale of this crisis is global, and depending on whom you speak with, you will get different numbers. But as I mentioned, every single organization is undergoing digital transformation. To give you a really good idea of how crazy things have gotten, a friend of mine from a company I used to work with, he works for an agriculture or a tech company that specialize in digital products for agriculture, specifically dairy farming. Now, I grew up in the Irish countryside. I never once imagined that dairy farming would be impacted by digital transformation. But we now have a huge sector that has just emerged from nowhere called agricultural science. His companies do facial recognition for cows. They analyze milk production and dairy production. They use data to drive better milk production. This is unheard of 10 years ago. Every single business, every single sector is undergoing this transformation, and we just have an explosion of jobs that are available, and we don't have the talent to fill those roles. People with the skills get well paid, they can travel anywhere with the skills, and they enjoy flexibility in their roles. And in Europe, it affects every single country.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe in Singapore, the durian industry might explode and they might see new tech developments in the durian industry as well. You never know. Um, and so for you guys, this is what the Singapore tech landscape looks like. So these are the statistics gotten at the IMDA survey. So if you just see the blue portion over there, that's the biggest growth sector in the next 3 years. So IMDA forecasts there'll be about 20,000 jobs in the next 3 years. So that makes up about 43% of the growth within Singapore. So this means for you guys out there in Singapore, there's really a lot of jobs out there that is up for grabs, but there isn't enough graduates to fill those jobs. Currently, as of now, there's about 10,000 existing jobs. You can just go search at JobsDB or JobStreet. You can see definitely the tech startups and a lot of people are looking for tech talents. And so this is where IMDA is really supportive in helping people get the skills that is needed through boot camps like Code Institute to really fill those numbers. So this is the average salary that you're going to be seeing annually within Southeast Asia. Um, and this is the salary that's what's going to be like in the world. So meaning to say, once you get these tech skills, you aren't just bounded to work within Singapore, but there really is a global shortage out there. So this means, the possibility to move overseas or the possibility even to work remotely. Yeah. And these two people are some of the success stories that I think Lee will just share a bit more about how they managed to, really get into good companies like Accenture through the bootcamp.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very happy to. I know Catherine personally. Catherine is from Stuttgart in Germany. She had just finished the Code Institute boot camp in Dublin, and she did a little bit of work experience here in our office as a tutor. Very often, people that graduate from our course actually do tutoring with us as well. So Catherine worked with us for a couple of months, so I had the pleasure of meeting her. But her background was in business. She has gone on, she is now working with Salesforce in their European headquarters here in Dublin. She works for them as one of their senior solution engineers. Adrian, on the other hand, I've only seen him in our testimonial videos. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting him as yet, but Adrian was a restaurant manager. And Adrian, very similar to Catherine, did our boot camp. Upon graduation, he is now working as a senior software developer in Accenture. One of the reasons that we like to just share a little bit of background information about our students is because very often there can be a worry with something like software development that it is like computer science. So one of the things that I would like to say to those of you who don't have backgrounds in science or maths, don't let that worry you. This course is more like learning a language. Some of the students that have enjoyed most success on our course, they've come from completely different backgrounds. I can think of one girl from the United States, a visual artist. One of the strongest guys in Adrian's class was previously a musician. So your background isn't something that should really impact on your chances of success on this course. The key ingredient, and I see this as being the absolute strongest skill that you can bring to the table, if you love problem solving and if you have determination and resolve, it's very likely that you will enjoy your time on this course.
I think also in our talks with the tech startups, the tech sector really values people with prior domain knowledge. So if you had a prior domain knowledge in like agriculture, or you had a prior domain knowledge in, let's say, like logistics, they really value these kind of experiences because these are the kind of first-hand experiences that you bring into the tech sector that you will really benefit the tech sector. So maybe Lee, maybe you just take us through like what is full stack and what is software development.
Absolutely. So our course is a diploma in software development. What we teach on the course is a thing called full stack development. And our goal on the course is to give you as a learner an experience of all aspects of modern development. And it gives you a really good understanding as to what's involved on each side of it. And what we find is most of our students, they work out by themselves. They think, okay, I am more suited to this aspect. And on graduation, they decide to specialize in a certain area. So the course is really split into three distinct parts. You see there, front-end data is presented, back-end data in motion, and database data at rest. That doesn't mean much in and of itself, but the front end is what you see. Think about any application that you really enjoy using, or think about a website that you have in your bookmarks or favorites. Think about the way that it's laid out. Think about the color scheme, the buttons that you click. Why is it enjoyable to use? That is because it has been well designed. The color scheme has been thought through. Within front end, all about what you see, data as presented. We teach HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and the whole idea is about creating a beautiful user experience. Underneath that front end, we have a back end. And if you think about the back end, we say data in motion. Essentially, data in motion is what is the rules and logic that underpin the experience. So when you click a button, all of a sudden the page has to reconfigure itself. So loads of rules have been applied underneath the hood within the engine. That is the back end. And then we have the database. So that is all of the information and the way that data is organized and stored, and how you query and reorganize it based on a rule interacting it. So that is the database. And if you want to think about what full stack is being able to do all of those things together. It is being able to create a beautiful front end with robust logic and a very, very, very solid database behind it. And out of this course, you may decide, I love the visual aspect, I'm a front end guy. You may decide, I love the logic, I'm a back end guy. Or you may think, I'm really into data and I'm going to become a data scientist. Or it could be a case that you say, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to become a full stack engineer.
Wow, that's really, really cool. So I think these are some of the modules, and these are some of the websites also that you guys could potentially be creating. So if you just think about in the Singapore context, websites like Shopee, so you know the user-centric front-end development could be things like why do you put the button there? Why do you use these kind of colors? Really thinking from the user point of view when creating your website. Maybe Lee, is there anything on this page that you want to touch on?
Yeah, so any of you that are really thinking about, I want to know what languages are taught, I would encourage you maybe have a look at a brochure. I will quickly just take you through what the learning journey is. So I mentioned at the beginning that we start from the zero. So we start assuming you know nothing. So you see, we begin, that top left module is coding fundamentals. So we start with the very, very basics. And we give you familiarity with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Python. The course is split into front-end development, back-end development, and full stack. So the next two modules you see are user-centric front-end and interactive front-end development. Within these modules, we believe this is where the bulk of your learning takes place, and we believe in a learn by doing approach. Because you will ultimately be building projects that you're going to be assessed on. When you're working on these bigger modules beyond the fundamentals, we give you mini projects. And the idea with the mini project is that almost like a paint by numbers or following a recipe as a cook, you go step by step. So you learn the process of how you build an application using the technologies given for each of the modules. This makes sure that you're understanding of all of that and you have experience with it. That means that when you become the chef, when you're tasked with creating your own project, you know the principles, you know the approach, and you know how to tackle it. Then beyond that, we bring you through backend. The backend technology is Python. We also use MongoDB and MySQL for database development. And then there's another variation of the Python language called Django that is used within full stack.
Okay. What attracted me over there was this little, you guys can't really see that because we're blocking it. But there's a portion also at the full stack frameworks where people use Amazon also to really incorporate different things, into the website. So Lee was saying about using Amazon as well, some of the Amazon tools.
Yeah, so one of the most important things, so when I mentioned becoming a full stack developer, that you're able to, build a front end and you're able to build a back end, one of the real key outcomes from this course as a full stack developer is that you are able to integrate other tools such as payment systems, such as Amazon Web Services, such as dynamic linking with social media platforms, or it may be a case that you want to deploy and host on Amazon Web Services. So we take you through within the full stack section all of those different integrations so that your application isn't just something that sits on its own. You're able to integrate it with other tools and make it truly useful.
Interesting. So on this portion, this is what the learning management system looks like. So during this session also, we'll be giving you like a 5-day coding challenge where you could really go into the link itself and really look at how the learning management system is. I believe, Lee, you were saying that this learning management system is actually used in Oxford as well. Is that right?
Well, it's very, very close. So the platform was developed by MIT and Harvard in North America. It's a system called OpenXBlocks. We spent a lot of time in terms of human hours and a lot of money building our course. So when we began, we simply had static materials in the classroom, but we invested very heavily in making our materials rich and online. So one of the beautiful things about any really, really good learning management system, for me, you think about the learner. It's all about the learner and their experience. So at any given time when you log in, you need to know where you're at, what you've achieved, what you need to do next. Then when you encounter a piece of conceptual information, it needs to be very clearly broken down into a digestible format. And you can see the left-hand panel is navigation. So that's like the chapters in a book. You choose the area you want to study. Whenever you enter into that, then you get the knowledge, the meat. And we break it down in a very succinct way. So first we say, this is what it is. Then we tell you what it does. And then we tell you how to use it. So at a high level, within a few sentences, you get a definition, a very practical definition. Then you will go through a walkthrough video where over the course of 7 minutes or so, we will walk you through the concept in detail and tell you how to practically use it. Then you will move on to a worked example, and then you will put it into practice yourself. And bit by bit, we increment your knowledge so that you just achieve your mastery and fluency through step-by-step knowledge in that process.
Okay. So like some of the staff here at Trent Global tried the coding challenge. It's really seamless. It's really good in the sense where it's easy to process and understand. So I do encourage you guys to get a taste of the learning management system that Co Institute uses. We'll be sending you the link later over at the chat or either that through email, so that you can have a taste of really how to learn coding in a really good environment. Yeah. So why this costly? Why should someone choose Code Institute?
Yeah, so it goes back to, one of the key reasons is that as a student of this course, you're learning modern skills. So remember our advisory council, they tell us the technologies to teach. They don't just tell us the technologies to teach, they also tell us how to improve the program. So about 12 months ago, there were only 3 projects. That has since been expanded to include the mini projects. So at the moment there are 4 milestone projects, and then there are 5 mini projects, and then there's an additional optional project beyond that. That was because of the strength of the portfolio. So you're learning skills that employers want, and you're also building a portfolio and CV that is tailored to their expectations and needs. On top of that, our course is truly unique with its university credit rating. That means that it will be easier for you to find a job. Also, it means that it carries international credit. For those of you that are looking to do anything further academically, this will carry credits internationally wherever you choose to apply. Then beyond that, you will be working with Trent. So you will have absolutely top class support in the classroom and from Trent directly. And then anything else beyond that, we have additional tools that will support you throughout it, such as a communication tool whereby you could talk with your fellow students and get questions back to us beyond the team at Trent.
Okay. So over at our side also, there are different things that we help our students with, which I'll share later. But for those of you that are actually thinking like, oh, this sounds like a really good course, what is it going to be like? So we have 3 intakes for this year. It's going to be in February, May, and August. So this is a full-time program. It's going to run for about 3.5 months to 4 months, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. So if you can see over there, about 640 hours. So this is as good as a diploma, within a Singapore polytechnic. But we stripped away, the different modules. But we put in a portion of soft skills, which we found that is really important for people to be able to present their work to future employers and really secure that placement or that full-time role as well. The entry requirements, you just have to be 18 years old and GCO level passes. If those of you that are from higher NITEC, that's also possible on a case-by-case basis. But what we really want to find out is that whether you have the attitude and the hunger, really to learn and really the right mindset to take in things. Also, whether your concepts and logic and reasoning, these kind of things will be washed through in the coding challenge to really help you to see if coding is something that is suitable for you. Over here in Singapore, our government, like what I was saying, is really helping the workforce to really get these tech skills. So there actually is a tech immersion placement program subsidy that's given by the Singapore government. It's 70% of the course fees are subsidized. So if you look, 11,500 is the original price, but because you're either a Singaporean or a permanent resident here in Singapore, you get a subsidy of 70%. So this means that you are paying only about 3,450. But for our first intake, we're also having a further discount. So this means about $800 to $1,000 worth of discounts that allows you to sign up for this program as well. This is our instructor, whom we have. He has about more than 8 years of experience in software development. He's also an adjunct lecturer at a polytechnic in Singapore. So he's really passionate about helping people to pick up coding. So he's going to blend in his experiences that he has in the tech industry to really to help you to understand what the tech industry needs in Singapore and how you can work towards there also. Um, we too have a board of advisors as well. So this is one of them is Mr. Christopher Yeo. So Mr. Christopher Yeo is actually an advisor to the likes of A-Star, to the likes of SPH, and these big companies within Singapore. Mr. Christopher Yeo specializes in machine learning and AI. So he has been within the tech industry in Singapore since the times of pagers and things like that. So he has really seen how the Singapore tech industry has evolved, and he's already going into the next stage where it's AI is creating AIs. So in that sense, you can be rest assured that we have these advisors that will look at your work, that will ask you why do you choose to use this framework, why do you choose to write your code in this way, and really help you. Another person also is Eugene Chia. He's 28, but he has already had 4 startups within Singapore. So he's somebody that's really passionate about using code to help people and also to help the society. So with these kind of connections within the tech industry and the tech startups, you can be rest assured also that during our reverse career fair, there will be companies that will come down to see your work, to see your portfolio, and to really help you to get that placement. These are some of the things that we do to support our students. We also have a HR person to really help you through the interview skills and also the technical interview part. So I think that is about it for the presentation. Maybe if any of you have any questions, you can just type it down into the chat box over there. If not, this is our location. We're right above the Cambridge MRT. So if any of you wanted to come down and have a chat with me about your concerns, that's also possible. Just type in the chat box and I could book an appointment with you. Yeah. So maybe Lee, if you could share.
Ben, one of our guests called Benny just asked a quick question around DevOps. So he'd been told that full stack was a marriage of front-end development, back-end development, and DevOps. There may be courses out there. I've seen so many different courses at this stage. There may be courses out there that include DevOps. DevOps is more of a process or a software development way of operating in terms of a project management style. So it's how software is, how the development team works. And it's not part of full stack. So full stack development essentially is the mastery of front end, back end, and then having it in your toolkit to be able to leverage APIs and to manage an application from end to end. DevOps is a methodology. Every company will have a different philosophy about what works and what doesn't work. The last company I worked in used a Scrum methodology, which is to do with a 2-week cycle for sprints. At Code Institute, we're constantly updating products and we use an agile methodology. You'll have other companies that will use waterfall. Other companies may believe in those methodologies, but they may have a DevOps approach in terms of how they release. It's a way of working. It's not part of the actual discipline of being a software developer in and of itself. But there's loads of literature out there on it, and I'm sure there are courses that include DevOps as part of the course as well. We focus on the actual discipline itself of coding, because when you walk in as a junior developer, whatever organization you walk into, they will have their school of thought, and that is the school of thought that you will pick up and learn. and you may move on to your second or third job after that, and they'll be engaged with different ways of working.
For whatever organization you walk into, they will have their school of thought, and that is the school of thought that you pick up and learn. And you may move on to your second or third job after
Another
that.
wonderful question has just come in, and it's something I would encourage, and in fact, what I will actually do, I will double check with you, Alex, afterwards if the project links are live in this presentation, because KP has asked about the types of projects that people build, and this is actually really cool. One of our favorite former students is a guy from Scotland. He was in his late 30s, a guy called Jody. And Jody, just to give you an example as to what you can do and what you can achieve with the projects that you build, Jody was worried firstly about joining us because he had not been in education for 18 years. He hadn't worked in 5 years. He was staying at home, but this guy was brilliant. And when he got to the data part of the course, he created an interactive dashboard to monitor his diabetes. So he captured data from his insulin reader and then plugged it into a visual dashboard. And he was able to see over time the nature of his insulin and his sugar levels. And he was able to identify spikes and link that back to attitudes and behaviors in his own life. So that shows you how you can make something very personal. Jody then went on and outdid himself. For his final full stack project, he had an insight into a business solution that he could deliver. His wife worked as a midwife, and he was able to identify flaws within the booking systems and reservation systems that they used. He built a booking system for midwives and a reservation system using the real world problem that he was able to identify. And upon graduation, he actually sold that as a commercial. Now, not like it's rare and fantastic for us to have a graduate whose final project is something that gets commercially sold, but it shows you that you're really not limited. So when you're tasked with the assignment, you can make it incredibly personal, you can make it incredibly commercial, or it may be a case that you just think, okay, I'm going to look at this and I'm going to hit the criteria set by the task and make sure that I just get maximum points. What you create is limited only by your own creativity and by really what you want to achieve from the project itself.
So just to emphasize on that also, this portion about the reverse career fair, these are kind of portfolios that we'll be showing towards future employers also at the reverse career fair. So it's really important that you do a project that you're really interested about and that you're really passionate about during your time of study here. Another question also that I get very oftenly is why Code Institute chose Python as the backend language, because I know other boot camps, they use like Ruby on Rails as their backend language. So I'm just wondering, for Code Institute, why choose Python?
So the reasons that we chose Python, there are several, and I'll go through them. So you're right. As a back-end technology, you can look. There are loads of other courses that will teach Ruby on Rails, that will teach Java, or that perhaps will teach .NET. Our logic in choosing Python, firstly, Python is the fastest growing language in the world. It is currently the second most popular language in the world, behind raw old school Java. Java is on the decline, Python is on the rise. So the demand is there. For us, that really increases our graduates' employability. Secondly, if we have somebody that has a data-driven background, Python has become the language of data science. It has become as popular as the old school language of data science called OR. So if somebody has, as you say, previous domain knowledge of data, that greatly improves employability. A third reason for choosing Python is its simplicity. It is quite a flexible language, and it's quite easy to learn because of its syntax. On top of that, it shares its heritage with a language called C. So that means that as a graduate, you can very quickly go on and you can pick up skills in C, C++, C Sharp, because your knowledge of Python will give you a really strong advantage in that area. And the last thing that I would just say on the choice of technology, we at Code Institute don't get overly hung up on technologies. So we take advice from companies on what we should teach, because we know that that increases the probability of you getting employed. A lot of employers don't really care. We have had graduates that have gone on to work with Capgemini, for instance. Capgemini used .NET as the back-end framework. Somebody looks at one of our graduates and thinks, if this guy can learn this many languages in 12 weeks, then I would be confident that they will be able to pick up .NET in 4 or 5 weeks on the job. And you will find this in companies' job specifications. HubSpot say they are stack agnostic. What tech companies in many ways are looking for is people who have shown that they are competent and capable of learning and have experience in software development in a variety of languages. And we give you all of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, really good. I hope, Kunping, that we, or Mr. KP, we managed to answer your question well. Is there any more questions from anybody out there? If not, then I think, Lee, any last words for our guests?
Well, no, first and foremost, I really would like to thank you all for joining us here this evening. I hope that you've had your questions answered. Of course, if there are questions that you have or that occur to you in the aftermath of this presentation, by all means, share them with Alex and he can circle them back to me. For us, the important thing is that you get to know what you need to know. But I'd like to thank you for joining us this evening.
Yeah. So guys, thank you for joining us today on this webinar session. We're having another live session in terms of like live as in real life at our classroom on the 9th of February. So during this session, you get to meet our instructor and also really get a taste, of what the classroom environment is going to be like and learning coding. So if you're going to join us on the 9th of February, you just have to bring your laptop down and really just an open mind and an open heart to really learn. And we can really show you that, anybody out there can really learn coding if they're given in the right environment. So thank you guys for tuning in. Just wishing everybody a good Chinese New Year. And thank you, Lee, for joining us as well.
My pleasure.
Bye, guys.